Welcome to CN Free Studio, where we discover what's unique, special, and different about each of us. I call it our USD. I've brought together some of my favorite people literally in the world, and you'll see that from today's guest, to share their stories about how they've found what makes them unique, special, and different to make an impact in the world. And today's guest is Dr. Lakeesha Ransom. She's got 20 years of experience in higher ed, nonprofits, business, and the government. She's worked with the World Economic Forum and the Grameen Foundation in just different capacities, including board member, dean, vice provost, faculty, and business leader. She's worked across the U.S., Asia, Europe, and Africa. And today she joins us from the idyllic Bangkok, Thailand, where she is there very early in the morning. So thank you for that. And she is on the management faculty at the Asian Institute of Technology. But to me, she's my best friend in grad school. We first met in the frozen tundra of Minneapolis, Minnesota, when we were both ambitious grad students trying to finish grad school and do a symposium to help faculty of color have a better experience in higher education. She's one of my dearest friends, and I thank her immensely for getting up this early to talk to us. Lakeesha?
Anything for you, Jen. Anything for you. So, no, it's really my pleasure to be here with you. I was so excited when you sent me the note asking if I would be interested in joining you, and it was absolutely yes. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. And the last time we got to see each other was a very tiny little glimpse of time right outside LAX when you came through town. So it's nice to get a little more time with you and catch up. So you want to tell everybody kind of what you're doing these days? What are you doing in Bangkok, and how are you spending your time?
Yeah, so this is actually the second time I've lived in Bangkok, but so I'm a professor of management at the Asian Institute of Technology. I love it. I teach classes. Right now I'm up a course in the circular economy. I've taught entrepreneurship here. I advise graduate students who are quite similar to how we were 24 years ago. I did the math last night, Jen. So it's really kind of fun to be on this side and to help them in their journey as scholars, as people who are really looking to make an impact in the world. So that's a bit of my life. I love living in Bangkok. I certainly miss friends and family back in the U.S., especially now with the pandemic, not just being able to hop on a flight and say, hey, I'll be in LA for 5 hours. You want to meet at the airport hotel? But no, I really do enjoy what I have the honor and pleasure of doing right now is working with students.
And I got the pleasure of meeting some of your students. I was so surprised at what a diverse group of students you have. I mean, I think you told me just the class I met had people that spoke 13 different languages and from many different countries. Is that typical, where you just have a really good, diverse group of people?
It is. In fact, we have been ranked the institution globally. Excuse me. We've been ranked the institution globally as having the most, the highest level of internationalization in the world. So our students, even though we're based in Thailand, about 35% of our students are Thai. And the remainder, they come from many other parts of the world, primarily South and Southeast Asia, just given our mission. We are an international organization. We were founded 60 years ago to develop leaders across Asia. So that's still core to our mission, but I have advisees from France, from Malawi, from many students from Nepal. So, I mean, it really is such a rich environment, and not only with our students, but our faculty and staff. Next time, when you're in Bangkok, we'll have to take a tour, and I'll show you the campus, and it's really a unique place.
I cannot wait. Just looking at your pictures on social media, I just keep dreaming of joining you there. I would love that.
Person. Don't make me have to be that person. I mean, I just, they're pictures of my life, but I'm not,
Yeah.
hopefully I'm not that person that's like, oh, hashtag wish you were here. I mean, that's never my intention.
No, but we still have envy. It's okay. So I mean, I've ever since I've known you, you've always tried new things, gone to new places. You've always been surrounded by people from all over the world, and you've been have immersed yourselves in all these cultures. I would love to hear from you what you have come to see as your unique, special, and different. What do you bring to all these places that you go?
I think it's exactly what you've said. I get so much energy when I'm able to connect people and ideas in unique ways. So, in ways that maybe they would never imagine, in terms of connecting with people who, on the surface, may have few similarities. But when they're able to connect, share ideas, share their experiences, it's magical, and so I love being kind of the orchestrator of that. And then also, I think, in terms of bringing new ideas to the table, so boundary spanning ideas that allow us to rethink who we are, what we do, how we do it, and how we make impact. So that's what I love doing, and I think that it happens best when you do have many different people from many different places all coming together, focus on the same goal.
Do you think that, I mean, you and I both went to grad school. We both were in our master's program at the same time. Then, we went into doctoral programs, and you went, and spent a lot of time in academia, which is where I actually originally thought I would be. Do you find, that academia is kind of the right playground for you to meet so many different people from so many different places that are willing to be open to new ideas and kind of break down those boundaries?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I thought, in some ways, yes, because academia is about discovering and creating new knowledge at its core. And at the same time, I don't know that it's always natural. I think that it's possible to have many people from different places who gravitate toward other people from their same place, all in the same place together. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, and I'm not ascribing it to my current situation, but when I think about just various academic institutions and environments that I found myself in, integration, immersion doesn't always happen organically, even if you have different groups of people in the same spaces, right? So I think that there is an intentionality that needs to happen in order for those people to see the value that the others bring.
Yeah, that's exactly, I think you're right. And I would love to hear from you, how do you do that? How do you bring people together to kind of see each other's perspectives? What's your experience with that?
I think that self-discovery, so really to understand oneself and, whether it's the strengths, whether it's culture, whether it's the background, whether it's perspectives that we each bring, I think that's really at the core. Particularly when people are early on their intercultural immersion journey, and it's kind of a first time for them to step out and be in different environments. And I think that there's a natural tendency to feel a bit uncomfortable. So I really try to create a safe space where, people feel first comfortable coming to terms with who they are and what they bring, and then creating opportunities for them to learn about other people and to be a little bit lighthearted about it at times as well. So I like games. So how do we gamify environments? To take some of the fear away and some of the pressures off, so that people are a little bit more free and flexible to be themselves. I think that's at the core.
When did you know this about yourself? You've always had a bit of this wanderlust and this ability to just, go into unfamiliar situations and meet people and bring about that kind of, awareness and togetherness and innovation and helping people explore new environments. Was there a moment in time when you just realized this is who I am? This is what I'm about?
Yes, but it didn't come from me. Actually, if you remember, I was on a ship for a few months. Actually, it was 20 years ago, 2001. So 20 years ago, and so there were 10 people from each of 14 countries who lived on a ship. And the Japanese cabinet office, so the prime minister's office, sponsored this opportunity for young people from around the world. And I remember one evening, I actually happened to be in Southeast Asia at the time. That was our itinerary. And one of my Kenyan friends on the ship, she was like, Lakeesha, I watch you, you're American, and so you're obviously comfortable with, the other people of the American delegation. Of course, we were from many different backgrounds, but then you're with the Greeks, and then you're with the Kenyans, and then you're with the Sri Lankans. And she's like, how do you do it? And I never realized it until that point, which was 20 years ago, and I'm not 20 years old anymore. So, I was an adult at the time. But at that moment, it became clear it was a culmination of my life journey. So my parents migrated from, the Deep South. They were class of 1965 in Mississippi and Arkansas, and I don't think they could get out of their states fast enough at that point in time. And so I think they've always supported my kind of wild, crazy, hairy ideas like, oh, I think I'm going to, and then fill in the blank, because that's what they did in their own way. They both grew up picking cotton, and they knew that they wanted different lives and opportunities. So they moved to Michigan, where they met, and then when I was 7, they stepped out once again. And it was really interesting because they were right around 30 or so at the time. And 20 years later, they were family members who apologized to my mother in particular, because they felt that she'd left them behind when we moved from Flint, Michigan to Mason City, Iowa. And then, we moved every 3 to 4 years, always in environments where there weren't a lot of people that looked like me. And I knew that in order to have friends, I needed to come to understand other people. And so I think that those experiences and having the parents that I do have helped to shape me into being the person that I am.
Yeah, I knowing what I know of your parents, that's a pretty incredible story, but I can tell that they've instilled that in you. And just what somebody said to your mom about you left us behind. Have you felt like that, in exploring the world and getting out there? Do you feel like you're leaving anything behind, or are you still just moving forward?
Anything or any people? I could say from a practical standpoint, just with being in Thailand now, in the midst of the pandemic, we've been ranked anywhere, between the second and the fourth globally. I've seen both of those statistics in terms of managing the pandemic. So although clearly we wear masks, we get our temperatures checked whenever we go anywhere, our lives are more or less kind of normal, all things considered. And so I do feel, I do feel a sense of, I don't know if it's guilt, but I just wish I wish that everyone could be in a space like this. So I don't know if that's the type of answer that you were looking for, but I do feel a sense of, not disconnection, but I wish that everyone could be in this space. So because, the people in this country and, the response to the pandemic, we were the second country in the world, second to China, where the cases of COVID-19 were identified. And the government just took a very strong stance from, the early days. And it really set up a culture of community and accountability, and as a result, we've been able to, do some of the things that you mentioned earlier in terms of just being able to live our lives.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I feel like I love it. It makes me really sad when I see, friends and dear family and just people that I don't know experience life the way that it's playing out right now in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you and I had talked about that at one point. Just, you're watching through TV and news and everything and seeing everything happening here. And that's what I mean by I like your social media. Not only does it look beautiful and majestic, but I've sensed that you've had a bit more normalcy than I think many of us have because of how Thailand has handled everything. And that's the envy, I think, more than anything, is just that some semblance of figuring out how to tackle things in such a tough time. Can you think of a time, I mean, speaking of tough times, that you feel like the thing that USD, that thing that makes you unique and special, has gotten you through some tough times in your life?
I think that the sense of being able to step out of the box that maybe I found myself in. I've never done well being in boxes. I don't know if that comes to as a surprise to you.
Nope.
But so sometimes we change because we are being proactive, and then other times we are reacting to situations. And I think that having had early life experiences where we've left familiarity makes it not so challenging. I mean, there's still a comfort that comes with being with familiar people and in familiar environments. But I think in terms of being able to look back and see how I've always found myself or created opportunities in which I'm with people that I enjoy spending time with, work that I enjoy doing, finding new ways of doing things. So if we were to use just those three attributes as my USD, I think that they've certainly helped me to deal with challenge and change. I think that moniker from a mutual employer that we've shared over the course of our careers. But really, I mean, life really is about challenges and changes. So I like this concept of the USD. I used to tell people about 15 years ago, you've got to find your hustle, and it became clear because the work that I was doing, and it was one year in particular where I had an opportunity to experience aspects of the World Economic Forum, as part of my role. And I saw people that were doing things in Davos who then turned around and gave a TED Talk in the same platform, really. And then we're on the speaker circuit getting paid $20,000, to come and give a speech on the same or a presentation on the same topic. And I thought, wow, we've got to find our hustle, meaning that we've got to find our USD. What is it that makes us unique, special, and different? And then how do we create opportunities around that? And what I saw was that, in myself and in, some of my colleagues and my friends, we often identified with what was on our business card. What was the title that we wore? And oftentimes we took it to places that it really didn't need to go, because titles don't necessarily define who we are. And it's our USD. I'm just going to incorporate that into my my vocabulary, if you will. So yeah, I think that it's the USD that defines who we are, and it helps us to find our hustle. And I think it's so important, especially now in times of challenge and change.
Yeah. And I would love for you to take that term and use it. You and I have been partners in crime on many occasions to try to drive change. And so please do, because I think you're right. And I think that's the message that we're trying to send with See and Free Studio, is just that who you are inside, what makes you tick, what drives you, what comes naturally, that's not a job. That's who you are, and I think you've just reinforced that by what you said, and I hope more and more people see that about themselves. And it's great if you can make money doing it. That is the hustle, and I think that's I'm gonna steal that one from you, and we can go out on the road together. This is a part of the program where I like to ask a random question, and it may have seemed like so many of them have already been random, but this one is where you get to pick a number between 1 and 25. And I've got this list of questions over here, and I will tell you what your question is. So what's your number?
13.
13. All right. Okay. 13. Ooh, this is a really good one for you. What does home mean to you?
Oh, wow.
That's perfect.
Man,
yeah.
It's so complicated. I guess, oh goodness. Well, certainly where my parents live is home. So maybe it's not so much a place, because I don't necessarily feel, I didn't grow up in their home, but it's where, the love that we've cultivated over the course of my lifetime resides. So that's certainly home. In terms of, Bangkok is home. So when I say I'm going home, I mean here. But then my mother, just this week, she said, "Oh, so I'll see that red dress," meaning that she knew that I would give her a red dress that I bought because red is her favorite color. It was long enough for her legs, et cetera, et cetera. You can just bring it when you come home. And I thought, I am home. But the place that is most familiar to me is my grandparents' farm in Mississippi, because that has been the consistent place. And actually, it's an ancestral place, where my grandfather's grandparents homesteaded. So that's certainly home.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad you got that question. It's perfect. I know. Listen, deep thoughts here. We're going deep. And if I need to pay for therapy later, you just let me know. But speaking of therapy, actually, that's a perfect segue. One of the things that I want to do to thank you for coming on the show at the crack of dawn, and also just to promote really great organizations. We're talking about seeing and freeing, and I want to help our viewers see these really great organizations, learn about them, and then find a way to free them, let them live up to their mission and do the good work they want to do. And you chose the National Alliance for Mental Illness. You want to talk a little bit about why that's important to you?
Yeah, I think that, there's still so much stigma around mental illness. And I see it playing out. I think even prior to the pandemic and, turmoil that has played out in the U.S. over, the past, we'll just say recent history, recent times, certainly it has been a major societal issue that really hasn't always been easy for people to talk about in open ways. But I certainly see it, and I believe that the conditions that we spoke about earlier in terms of how people are being forced to live out their lives and the implications that it's having on their lives, their livelihoods, their relationships, is exacerbating, incidents of mental illness. And it's important to help people to get well, because our mental health is core to who we are and how we live out our lives and how we interact with people who are closest to us. And I want as many people to be able to get the help that they need. And that was the organization that came to mind that, has a mission for raising awareness across various communities. So that's why I chose it.
Well, I think it's a great cause, and I think you're right. And, one of the other, I think, benefits of talking about USD is some people are going through rough times and they need, they want to break through habits. They want to address depression or sadness or, just feeling stuck. And I think it's a great cause to support. And I hope everybody will. We'll put the link up again at the end of the show, and help this organization really help other people who are going through a tough time. And so thanks, Lakeesha, for bringing that to our attention. And I really do hope that we can fight the stigma around mental illness and really address, things that people are facing every day. With that, my friend, I know you have a weekend to get to. It's very early on the weekend for you, and I want you to go enjoy it, and so I can see more of your envious pictures on social media. But
just some films today.
Yeah. And I want to send a shout out to all the students over at the Asian Institute of Technology. I got a chance to meet some of them, and I hope they're enjoying your classes. I know I would. She's a very wise woman. You should listen to her. And I look forward to catching up in every capacity with you. But in the meantime, I hope you keep bringing your USD to the world. We're all better for it. And I really appreciate your friendship.
Thank you, Jen. As I said at the outset, I'm really honored. I'm so thankful that we have this time to do what we normally do, but in a way that hopefully can inspire other people. And so I admire your ability to have tough conversations and get to the core. That's something that you've always done, and that's something that you've always brought. And I value you. I cherish you as a person and as a friend. And so I'm really, really thankful to have you in my life.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And I'm learning to take compliments a little bit better, and yours means a lot to me. So I'm going to wrap it up here at CN Free Studio now, and say thank you again to Dr. Lakeesha Ransom. And I really appreciate you being on the show, and I want to increase our viewership. So please, if you're out in Thailand, come back and join us and watch the show each week. I really appreciate it. We want you to subscribe, if you can, to cnfreestudio.com. You can visit us on YouTube or LinkedIn, and we will have a great series for you, constantly meeting incredible people like Lakeesha, and I hope you come back.